All right, welcome back to Salt City Counseling, everybody. Once again, my name's Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful, hot state of Utah. Happy birthday, America! The observed July 5th holiday today. I'm going to go meet my mom for a late lunch, but I thought I'd record a video, bring you this week's installment of Healing Narcissistic Trauma. It's been quite a week for me. Interviewed for kind of a big job. I don't think I'm going to take it. I don't even know if they're going to offer it to me. They might. They probably will. I think they will, but I don't think I'm going to take it. It's a big job. And it's hard, right? Life brings you these decisions. You could take this road and do what everybody thinks that you should do, or you could take this road and follow your heart, right? It's hard. Super hard. Anyways, in this installment of Healing Narcissistic Trauma, I'm going to talk about changing your story. I'm going to demonstrate how to do this. And it can really change how you feel, really change your perspective on the situation. If you're new here, I do these videos on healing narcissistic trauma. Usually narcissistic trauma, the nature of it, right, is people who are anxious, people who lack identity. It seems like people who have had narcissistic trauma, they're just kind of afraid to be a person. They just tiptoe around, right? They're afraid to act or do anything, really, for the fear of criticism, super high sensitivity to criticism, things like that. I know I did a video on this probably a few months ago. Go check it out. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can change your story. If you've been following along with these series and taking notes, this is a good exercise to do. Ultimately, what you have to understand is the purpose of all of these videos, all of these exercises is to really help you become a different person entirely. Change your thinking, change your identity. It's almost like if this mug were to break, you wouldn't, if it fell off this desk and broke, you wouldn't painstakingly try to piece it together. You'd probably just get a new one, right? Or find a new one or create a new one, make a new one. And that's sort of what you kind of want to do when it comes to your identity. If you've had a narcissistic type, borderline type, just sort of decimate or destroy your identity, your self-esteem, your character in general. And so in this, we're going to talk about we're going to talk about kind of changing the story as a component to this. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way if you're new here. I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you'll share. It's weird because I get no subscribers anymore. 2 in a month, when before I was getting 2 or 3 a day. I don't know. That's weird. Some people might say, well, that's, maybe I said something in one of my videos and the YouTube algorithm dislikes me. I would imagine that's possible. Oh, well, whatever. Help me grow my channel. If you have viewer questions, you can submit a comment. You can submit an email. Also, all tips are appreciated. Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. All those links are in the description below. If you are in a high conflict custody or divorce, go check out my high conflict community. Go take those high conflict divorce and custody courses. Hopefully there will be more to come soon. So far I've got communication, I've got co-parenting, I've got rules for court, and I've got, man, I can never remember the 4. There's the co-parenting, there's high conflict divorce and custody, there's communication. Man, why can't I remember? You would think, right? You would think I would remember these. Anyways, go check out those courses. They'll be really helpful to you if you're dealing with a high conflict individual, you're in a high conflict situation. I've been getting a fair amount of people who are seeking some personal help, some personal consultations. I am for hire on that, so you can email me, reach out to me. That is in the description below, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com. And if you need some help, some consultation, documentation review, I am for hire currently for that stuff. So let's get into this. This is about healing narcissistic trauma and just changing the story. Now I'm going to give you an example. And again, if you've had a narcissistic partner, or borderline partner, it's probably a good chance you had a narcissistic or borderline parent. Not always, but for a lot of people, this might be that you had or have a parent that kind of fits this description. And so you might recall an incident when you were a kid. Maybe you were 10, 11 years old, and out of the blue, unpredictably, maybe you just walked in the door and this parent was absolutely flying off the handle. And maybe they told you that, maybe they were screaming something like they told you to do a certain chore and you didn't do it properly, and what an awful child you are, and all these horrible things, and you felt ashamed and small and scared and worried, and that was just one situation that stood out to you. Okay, and so this story, as you recall it, has basically kind of helped shape your identity the way that it currently exists, right? I'm bad because X, right? And I even know an adult, or I've worked with an adult, not recently. I haven't seen this person in quite a while, but like this person's borderline mom would kick in the bedroom door in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, screaming at the children because they didn't clean the place as well as she told them to, and get out of bed. And the kids are cleaning the house in the middle of the night, because apparently a clean house and you doing what I tell you to do is more important than anything, right? You can't compete with crazy. This is just the type of parenting that I'm accustomed to hearing about when it comes to borderline moms. This is just an example. Narcissistic dads are the same way. And so now, going into adulthood, now this person can't sleep, especially if the house isn't clean. Obsessively cleans the house, obsessively compulsively cleans the house, and obsessively compulsively will not go to bed until the house is absolutely spick and span, right? And so that shapes their identity because of this experience, okay? So, I'm going to use that as a running example. So if you change the story, right, instead of saying, yeah, one time when I was a kid, I was 11 years old, I didn't clean well enough, and my borderline narcissistic mom, came barging into my room and flipped on the light and was screaming at me and told me to get out of bed, and that she was angry because I didn't do a good enough job cleaning. And so I spent the next hour and a half cleaning to her satisfaction before I could go to bed again. And I felt really sad and ashamed and afraid. Became hard for me to sleep because I was always worried that she was going to kick the door in again. Okay, so that is the existing story, right? And then the identity is formed, and and then the story continues. I have to have the house spick and span before I'm able to sleep. I have to have the house spick and span before I'm able to go to bed. It has to be perfect. I clean it obsessively. Okay, that's the existing story. And that's the existing identity around the story, right? If that makes sense. So if we continue on in that way, right? If you change the story, right? Tell the story from a different perspective, right? I was a kid and I was asleep, and my mom, who is notoriously unpredictable and notoriously volatile, who notoriously alienates every single person in her life, who notoriously screams at people over small things, who has a tendency to explode over very, very small things, came into my room and was very upset. I wasn't exactly sure at what. It didn't really matter because it was always something. It was because she could never be happy. She still can't be happy. She's just always been that type of person. Anyway, so she decided to drag us out of bed because she's unstable, because she's neurotic, because she has lost her touch with reality, and she believed that it was acceptable to drag your children out of bed in the middle of the night and make them clean the house. And so that's what she did. And after that, it was annoying. I felt annoyed, and I did my best to make sure that the house was clean when I went to bed. But really, there was nothing I could do to predict when she would fly off the handle or for what reason. And so once I left the house, I was able to let it go and understand that it's not that places need to be clean. It's just that my mother was crazy. So you see what I did there, right? You change the story. Rewrite the story. Okay? And in a sense, when you do that, you change your brain. You change how your brain sees a situation. You change how your brain reacts to situations. You almost rewrite your own history. You rewrite your perception of that history. And you can kind of go through and sort of do this, right? It's like someone else told me a story. He came home, his crazy narcissistic now ex-wife, was absolutely infuriated because he had stacked the towels wrong, stacked the towels incorrectly, or did a poor job with it, or didn't do it to her instruction, to her specifications, and berated him for 2 hours before kicking him out of the house. And he ended up falling asleep just in the backyard, waiting for her to unlock the door, right? And again, you could change the story. Yeah, my ex-wife, who was always finding a reason to be unhappy because she has control issues, because she always has to be in control. And if she's not, then she tends to blame other people instead of taking on her own accountability, and so on and so forth. And you can kind of do this and rewrite the story and the meaning behind those stories when it comes to like your whether it's a parent or whether it was a partner, maybe it's both. And so you can do those exercises, okay? Rewrite those stories, and it can really make a difference in how you feel and how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the situation. Okay, as usual, I would love to hear any feedback that anybody has on this particular exercise. So maybe leave it in the comment section below. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.